pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll start off with the roll call when the clerk is ready.
There you go. Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite.
Melly Garthwaite, Council at Large, present.
Councilman Brian Locks is absent. Councilwoman Ann Heffernan.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan, 1st District, present.
Councilwoman Ruby Melton.
Councilwoman Ruby Melton, 2nd District, present.
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali.
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali, 3rd District, present.
Councilman Gary Donovan.
Councilman Gary Donovan, 4th District, present.
Councilman Edward McMillan.
Councilman Edward McMillan, present.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan, 6th District, present.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker, 7th District, present.
Councilman Christopher Vargo.
Councilman Christopher Vargo, 8th District, present.
Councilwoman Katie Muller.
Councilwoman Katie Muller, 9th District, present.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone, 10th District, present.
And Chairman Nicholas Pascal.
Chairman Nicholas Pascal, present.
We have a quorum.
We
Mr.
do have a quorum, thank you. First up tonight, we have a public hearing out of our Public Lands Committee. Councilman Donovan, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chairman. The time is 6:32. We have a public hearing on Public Lands Committee Communication C from November 25th, 2024 agenda from Mayor Dorinda Boer regarding a request to approve a lease with RTR Hospitality Group LLC for the Savin Rock Conference Center. Before I bring the public up, I would like someone, you're going to show us what you got going on and giving us a nice little rundown.
Hi, council members, Mayor. My name is Chris Morone. I'm with the Hayco Development. We're with the development company that's down the street, the old Chicks property. We developed the 12 townhomes, and now we are doing our REVA, which is going to be, we're shooting for early summer. So I'm going to present for you tonight. Okay, so I heard about the NEPCO deal, okay, and I heard it was being terminated. And we're down the street, and we're looking forward to a vibrant shoreline. And I reached out to a couple of the best operators that I know in the state, and these guys are the best. And I said, hey, do you have any interest in West Haven? There might be a big opportunity for you, for us. So I reached out, and they came, and they immediately fell in love with the building and the area in the city. Sorry, in the city. So, just to introduce the team, and these are some of the locations that they own and operate. We have John Taxelderis from Boca, Peter Bonona from Grey Goose and Spotted Horse, and John Lungi from B Squared and the Chelsea. And we don't have Giovanna here tonight, but she runs the all the events at Boca. Okay. Just to give you an idea of what we plan, what some of the plans are for the building, and I'm going to walk you through it with some of the renderings, and I even have a video that I could show for you. But before I go through the plans, I just want to share with you that ever since I moved to West Haven and we started developing, the conference center was always standing there vacant, and I always wondered, and I always heard, right, about the conference center. It was a knockdown. The conference center is a knockdown. And the first time I walked through it, I couldn't believe how wrong everybody was. That building is a gem, okay? The structural bones of that building with the columns and the steel, the concrete that's there, that building is strong, and it's withstood, right, how many hurricanes and Mother Nature all these years. So that building is, it's great. And it's great for the use that we want to put there, okay? It's just in need of a major facelift. All right, and that's what we plan on doing. So we do plan on staying within the existing footprint. We want to take the roof off of half of the building and add a rooftop. We want to flank the building with 2 ground level decks, okay? We want to use the existing parking lot, so we're not going to come out into the parking lot and take any of the spaces away. Currently, there's 163 spaces and 6 handicap spots. We plan on using every single one of those, okay? We want to give it a Nantucket look and feel. That's really what we plan on doing with the building, by adding some cedar impression shingles. We want to do glass doors in the back. We want to give it a new front facade by having a new entrance, which I'll show you in the beginning. But right now, the entrance, you have to walk around the side of the building, okay, to enter the building. We want to put a new entrance right in the front of the building with a elevator and stairs that access both the first level and the rooftop. As you go around the back, we want to take pretty much the entire length of the building facing the water, and we want to put accordion doors there, beautiful glass accordion doors, okay? If you've ever been in that building or walked that boardwalk, you'll see the views are stunning. So we want to try to capture as much of that as possible. We really think the city residents will love that. And then the rooftop bar. So, just taking a look at the ground level of the view, imagine what it looks like 12 feet higher than that. You could see pretty much Long Island on a clear day. We really think that will be, with these operators and this building, probably the best restaurant / wedding venue in the entire state. So I'll go over the space now and the floor plan and how we plan on utilizing it. So I'm going to take you through this. The top of the page is, top of the page is parking lot, and the bottom of the page is the water side, okay? So at the top right, you could see where it says, you see those stairs? And there's a big X next to it. That's the elevator. That's where we plan on having an elevator lobby in the basement level. Coming up into the lobby area, which is actually the current lobby area now, today. That space that's there, you could see where it says main dining room and then secondary dining room. We want that to be a flex space. So have accordion doors that open up, and you could have large banquets, small banquets, and also keep your dining room. So a flex space for both events and for dining, with a bar and then a service bar for functionality. We plan on adding bathrooms, and then over to the right, some additional bathrooms for the capacity that we plan on holding. The kitchen in the back, when the guys saw the building, they said, wow, perfect space for a kitchen. The use of this building is just perfect for, these guys design restaurants pretty much their whole life, right? So when they actually came in and they took a look at the bones of this building, they said, this is a special space. We can see it. We love it. This is what we plan on doing to the rooftop. So you could see that X again. That's that elevator that will take you up top. And it's a pretty special space. So we want to put a rooftop deck the entire way, all the way down with a nice U-bar. So I'll show you some renders in a minute of what that looks like. So this is the front. And right now, if you take a look from the street, it's not the prettiest building, right? You kind of just have that flat side with the shingles that goes all the way. We want to put some false windows in there. We want to create a false roof and our sign in the front. That, along with that new entrance, it's really going to give it some good curb appeal. The palm trees are not fake. We do plan on putting some palm trees there. Just like Anthony's Ocean View and some of these other shoreline restaurants around and wedding venues, you actually bring them in. It gives it a pretty cool look. But we could really transition this into a beautiful building. The interior space, here's just a look. We plan on having that flex space with that wall, that accordion door in the middle. You could look to the right, you could see the accordion doors. There's a better picture here that will show this, but these are the kind of doors that you'll see at a lot of these shoreline restaurants now. They open completely up. You're going to feel like you're on the boardwalk. Here's the back of the building. You could see with all those accordion doors. and it's really going to just totally transform this building. Here's the side, one of the dining decks. The views off to the side of the building are honestly just as stunning. So we want to try to capture as much of that as possible. And here's the rooftop bar that we'd like to put. You know, you put a band up here at night and have some outdoor dining. There's really no place in the state that's going to be like this. All right, you're going to feel like you're on vacation. So here's the question that a lot of people have been asking us, and this is an important note to take away. We plan on using the same footprint. Our experts have conveyed to us there's going to be no variances, and we plan on using the same use, okay? So we do not see an issue. Our experts have looked into this, and we're pretty much all finished up with our site plan, ready for planning and zoning, and we do not see any variances for the use that we have and with the footprint that we have. And then important, you know, the team behind the team, right, which is also important, is how do we get this done? We have attorney Frank Lito, who's also a municipal attorney for the town of Monroe, and he's been guiding us through this whole process. We have Jeff Gordon, who's a familiar face here, along with Sam Gardner, who's our site planner. Sam is our architect, and he's an expert in restaurants. And we're very familiar with planning and zoning and a couple of the other agencies here in the city. And we've been successful in really trying to execute fast once we have approvals. So that's going to be the important thing here. Right now we're in the planning process, and with your approval, we will move as quickly as possible so that way we could operate in the space. And we really appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for that. Much appreciated. Again, before I have the public come up and speak, I know the mayor wanted to address. Is that correct? I didn't put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. Feels like these microphones are far away, right? Yeah. So first of all, I want to make sure on behalf of the city, I officially thank you for your interest in coming to West Haven. We're only speak on everybody else will speak eventually on their interest in this project, but it's very professional, very well done. I think your reputation and your strong ability to operate a successful establishment is what's of interest to us. I think having Chris Marone on the team is also a great selling point to us as well, because he's in the middle of a project, and everything Chris has said he would do, he has done. And we've had any hiccups we have that come along the way, we work out together, and it's been successful so far. You know, the condominiums have been successful. I have a lot of confidence Riva will be successful, and you're bringing that same type of integrity to this project. I think this is something exactly that West Haven needs. We've been talking about this. You know, this building has had a long chapter, so it's near and dear to our hearts. It's not only in a beautiful location, but this is a building that all of us have had. Either we attended or we hosted our own parties there through the years, Christmas parties, right, birthday parties. I had my baby shower there. That's how old the building is. So to see it be rehabilitated in the same type of footprint, but bringing new life to it and a whole new chapter to our shoreline is really something that we welcome. And we have a big team that welcomes developers to West Haven. It's not just myself and my team, it's this entire city council. It's our planning and zoning team, it's our public works team, it's our economic development team. We work really well together, and we together welcome developers and investors to our city. So we look forward to working with you. I could typically gauge by the audience if something's going to have any challenges, and I could very well see here tonight. We've had projects that have been before the public that have been, you know, we've been here till midnight because there's been, we'll just say, challenges. And I've received nothing but positive feedback for this project in the community. And I can tell you I'm just about everywhere. Online, my emails, my texts, everybody is very much appreciative of your interest. So I just want to make sure I officially welcomed you to our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. At this point, does anyone from the public like to speak on this? For a second time? Yes, please. Come up, state your name and address, please. Yes, please. Thank you.
It all sounds very good. My name is Dolores Liebau. I live at 122 Anderson Avenue, and I hope it turns out to be very good. I just had just a couple of comments. The designer mentioned a Nantucket feel, which is nice. However, palm trees don't fit into that picture. So if you're really thinking New England and a Nantucket feel, I think I'd pick something that was more in keeping with the environment, and it wouldn't be palm trees. That's just one thing. The issue of the band playing at night, I know that, also was an issue in the past, and again, hopefully all the regulations regarding the sound, the sounds that are made along the sound, are in keeping with what the neighbors are happy with. So again, that's not the structure, but it's, the sound. And the other thing is just the view, when you get views of the front. I know before we had views, but it didn't include the rock and how the rock contrast or compared with the building. I think it would be nice to show the public also where the rock fits into the picture. But it does appear things are not higher, but I think that's an important feature that should be photographed when you're showing it to the public. And then the last thing would be, of course, that people would still have access to walking on the boardwalk when they wanted to, again in keeping with the town's rules, that there wouldn't be prohibited if there was a wedding or a venue or an activity that was private, that wouldn't interfere with the public's ability to be there. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your concerns. Anyone else from the public like to speak on this matter? Yes, sir.
Good morning, or good evening, excuse me. Morning somewhere. Chair Pascal, members of the council, and of course Mayor Bohr. I'm Steve Fontana. I'm the city's new Director of Economic Development, and I'm pleased to be before you for the first time this evening. I would like to second the mayor's comments. I think that RTR's proposal is a quality design with quality participants. The restaurateurs are established professionals in Fairfield County, and in addition to the points the mayor made, I would just point out that this will create a landmark destination that will attract thousands of annual visitors to West Haven, create dozens of local jobs, and stimulate interest in further shoreline redevelopment. As you probably well know, on November 13th, following your referral, the P&Z Commission voted unanimously to approve of RTR's proposal, stating that it is consistent with the city's land use plan, zoning regulations, and plan of conservation and development. I think it's a great proposal. I'm pleased to support it and encourage you to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fontana. Anybody else from the public like to come up and speak? Second time, anyone from the public like to speak on this matter? Third and final time. Yep.
Hi, my name's Rich Hebert, live at 166 Bloom Street, and I'd like to welcome this proposal. The establishments that are in existence are providing quality food and entertainment, and this is be a welcome addition to our town, and I am so delighted that they're going to use the building, because as the gentleman said, the bones of the building are great, and we're into recycling and making sure that we make the best utility of what we have. And I think that's an excellent proposition that these folks are presenting, and I hope you all approve it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public have any comments? Second time, anyone from the public? The third and final time, anyone from the public? I know the council has some comments or questions, but those will be asked and brought up during our committee. This is just for the public at this time, if anybody has any questions. Seeing none, the public hearing on this matter is now closed. It is 6:51. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I believe we're going to take this opportunity to go caucus, and then we'll come back for the regular council meeting at 7.
Okay, council's back in session. The time is now 7:18. We will enter into public session now at 7:18.
I did tell you.
Yeah, you did. All right, at this time, we'll enter into public session. The time is now 7:19. Would anyone like to speak before the city council? For the second time, would anyone like to speak before the city council? For the third and final time? Dale?
Is this on? Yeah, it is. Okay. My name is Dale Eisel, and I live on 90 Honey Pot Road. I'm here to talk about a person who was present at this meeting. The name of the person is Mayor Borer. When she first ran for the mayor's position, all I knew about her was that she was a Democrat. That's all I knew. But as time has gone on, I learned many things. To name a few, you have gotten our insurance claim paid. You are committed to transparency. You love West Haven. And I could go on, but I won't. In closing, you are doing a great job, and I want to say thank you.
Make a mayor cry.
You got off.
I noticed. Okay, thank you for that. Would anyone like to speak before the city council? For the second time, would anyone like to speak before the city council? And for the third and final time, would anyone like to speak before the city council? Public session is now closed at 7:20. And at this point, we'll convene the December 9th, 2024 regularly scheduled council meeting at also 7:20. I am looking for a motion to approve the journal of November 25th, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
Actually, do I have a motion?
Do we have a first?
Yeah.
Motion.
Thank you.
Whatever you want.
Do I have a second? Thank
Second.
you. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, I would like to abstain. Thank you.
And
Two
you
abstentions?
also?
Yes. And the motion passes. Okay, at this time, I'd like the council clerk to hand out the communications for this evening.
We have Communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for November 2024, which will be filed with tonight's minutes. And that is all the new communications that we have for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
All right, perfect. And before we recess into committee meetings, at this point, we would normally have a finance update from Michael Gormany. And instead of having that finance update, since it has to do with finance, Dorinda has something for us this evening.
Yes, so I just wanted to address the reval program because I know it's causing a lot of anxiety, and I understand that. So we put a lot of information out there. We put information about how it works and why we're doing it in the Voice and on Facebook and the website, and sent a letter, but I know it's a complicated process. So what I would say is, just to clarify a couple of things, we are required to do revaluation every 5 years. We were required, West Haven, to do ours in 4 years. So I made a copy of the schedule, and I'm going to give it to all of you so it will help you answer any constituents that call you as to why we're doing it at 4 years. OPM, State of Connecticut, required us to do it at 4 years. Our reval is based on home sales, and home sales are high right now in West Haven and all across the state. So that creates an escalation as we see, home values. As homes are selling, they're selling for a lot more than they would have sold for a few years back. So that is causing the spike in the home value. So that is the first step. The second step is for us to work on the budget. First, we have to get all the revals in so we understand where the grand list stands. Once we have that, as we go through the budget process, and you will be a part of that, we will address the mill rate. How much we will lower the mill rate, we will be lowering the mill rate. How much we will lower it by, we don't know yet, because we need to have everything come in, and we need to see what the budget looks like. So we try to tell folks not to panic. I know it's scary when you open that letter, myself included. You know, some people think their taxes are going up by thousands of dollars, and because you applied today's mill rate to your new assessment. And we ask that you not do that. Just hold off, let's come up with the mill rate, and then you will have your new tax amount, okay? And we are available through emails or calls. I know all of you have been fielding calls as well, so just hang tight and we'll have more information early spring.
Are you fielding any questions on that? Does anybody have anything? Dawn Callahan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for clarifying that, because I'm sure all of us have had people come up to us in our neighborhoods and with due diligence, as they, you know, rightfully so. And I just want to second what the mayor said, that please don't get nervous, especially what I have also been telling a lot of folks is that this is good in many ways, because it hasn't been done in a long time, and it really should have been. But if you flip it and look at the other side, that means your house is worth a lot more. So if you ever had to sell, you get a lot more equity in your home. Also, if you had to refinance, you have all that much more equity. And on a different level, I also say to people, if you hold a mortgage or any kind of home equity loan or anything on your home, you might want to think about talking to your financial advisor, because you can probably use a lot of that equity to your own power if need be. A lot of people are having a hard time right now with debt, credit cards. I know I have 3 credit cards that are at 39%. So I just want to put out there that this can come in your favor for some folks. So just to, you know, balance out that it can also work for you in good ways. So I would reach out to your financial people to just get some backbone on that as well, but it could really work in your favor as well. So thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll move on. Thank you. We will now recess into committee meetings at 7:26. First up, we have Public Lands Committee. Councilman Donovan.
Thank you, Chairman. The time is now 7:26, and your Committee on Public Lands is now in session. We have before us Communication C from the November 25th, first let's get people present, right? Committee members, Councilwoman Callahan, Councilman Vargo, Councilman Johnstone, and myself acting as chair. Councilman Locks is not present. We have Communication C from the November 25th, 2024 agenda from Mayor Dorinda Bora regarding a request to approve a lease with RTR Hospitality Group LLC for the Savin Rock Conference Center. I'd like to make a motion to approve this, bring this out favorably.
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion with the committee?
Are we fielding,
You're in the committee, you can ask.
right, so fielding like questions
Whatever
about?
question you want to ask at this point. I'm going to
Okay.
open it up. I'm not going to open it up to the council in the committee because it's a short agenda. I'll wait
Right.
till we get to committee reports. Is that okay with you, Chairman, or you want to do it all?
Do it all now.
Do it all now?
Like, yeah.
Okay. Well, go with the committee first.
Okay, so just, thank you again I love the presentation, the PDF. I had a quick question on the part of the building facing the water. Love the doors, love the look, and I'm sure you have this in place, but I just wanted to double check. We have hurricane shutters in place or some sort of protection on those windows? Because we are right on the water, I just wanted to just ask that question.
Hi. So yes, we have to work with the building department, and all the windows will be rated, and then all the tie downs and everything will also be up to, you know, the code for hurricane mitigation and everything else. So
Great.
yes, we'll work with the building department on that.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you.
Chris, you may want to, so you don't have to get up and down.
Sure.
Just giving you a heads up.
Thank you, all set.
Anybody else on the committee? Councilman Johnstone.
Thank you, Chairman Donovan. Just in general for the public, because I'm sure, along with myself, I know a lot of other council members up here have been fielding a lot of questions from their constituents, and you know what is the best part of this deal, and why is it so different, and Let me reassure the public. This was the complete opposite, and I'm speaking from a personal standpoint on this because I was involved with the NEPCO on the last council. The experience on this was the complete opposite. This was not rushed. This was diligently done. Many council members have had numerous discussions with the mayor, with Ricky Spryer, with corporate counsel, and Mr. Dorsey and Agello, who have been fantastic. This was done the right way. And I know there are a lot of questions in terms of value, and everyone is entitled to their opinion. I'm not here to say you're right and you're wrong or this and that, but from my point of view, and I'm sure I would bet the house, if we're talking about equity here, before, I would bet the house that there are other council members here that personally felt after the NEPCO debacle that we would not get another opportunity like this. I can assure the public, especially District 10, because I've been getting a lot of calls, and I'm sure other council members up here have as well. It's a win-win for both parties, because at the end of the day, we still have to conduct business in West Haven. Our job, what we've been trying to do, especially with the new administration, is to ease the taxpayers. But we have to, if you have somebody who's willing to invest millions of dollars in their own funds on a risk in a business that has a lot of unknowns in an area and the history of an area, if you will, with the conference center, of all the drama that's gone on around it, there is a lot of risk. So I applaud you. I applaud all of you sitting. Thank you for taking that chance, because it is a big risk. And I can only imagine the possible hairs that were lost, the hairs that might have been grayed a little bit, the countless nights of sleeplessness of, did I do the right thing? Did I propose the right thing? Thank you for taking a chance on us, because personally, one more time, I did not think another good deal would come. I literally thought we were just going to probably have to sell the property and hope for the best. So I personally thank you, and that's all I have to say. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Vargo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had the pleasure of listening to your presentation the first time you were before the council. I was present at the P&Z meeting, and obviously today. The presentation has been consistent, professional, informative, so I just wanted to thank you for taking the time and bearing with us as we do our due diligence, both on the council and in other city areas, because the reality is that we've been burned before, so we're being very careful, and you have all done a phenomenal job answering our questions and being transparent and open, so I appreciate that. What I'd like to understand is what the business is actually going to look like. 'Cause my understanding is that it's a restaurant, it is a venue hall, and it has an outdoor rooftop component. And my concern is that you're right on the water, quite literally right on the water, that what kind of an impact with these sort of unpredictable and worsening weather conditions will that have on your business, and how much are you relying on that rooftop dining component in your overall business plan? And I know that you're not going to tell me your whole business model, and I understand that, but that's really my concern, is that if you're heavily relying on using that as part of your primary revenue stream, are you planning on the fact that that might not be available, certain times of years, and is that being factored into all this?
So, when we were first came to the site.
We just need your name for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Peter Monona, Fairfield, Connecticut.
John Lungi, Fairfield, Connecticut.
Yeah. We didn't actually have a plan for the rooftop when we first started out. When we got to the site and we noticed it, and noticed the view, and the fact that the building itself led itself to a rooftop, it's something that started spinning in our minds, and we said, how great would it be to have this rooftop dining, almost with a 180-degree view of Long Island Sound. So we actually, when we were putting together our business model, the rooftop came into play secondary. It was a bonus, if you will. So the fact that the building itself is beautiful, we have that flex space, rooms for parties, and regular dining, 7 days a week, lunch, dinner, brunch on the weekends. The rooftop, obviously, we don't have plans at this point to, make that, what's the word I'm looking for? It will be seasonal, obviously. There are some rooftops around the country, different areas where they glass these in and create almost an atrium or greenhouse. That's certainly something we can look at, because with the weather being a factor, if someone were to book the rooftop for an event or party, we'd have to have a contingency. We can't control the weather. But as of how much that factors in, I'm seeing it as a bonus. I'm seeing it as something that we're not dependent on. I think that we can certainly do well enough with the outdoor decks, dining room, party space, that, taking that into consideration, it wouldn't make or break our business plan.
That makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
John, anything else?
No. You nailed it. It's all right. The downstairs is big enough. You guys all been there, along with the little private room that we're going to have off to the side to accommodate, well over 300 people. So, just to put your mind at ease, we're going to have plenty of room downstairs if the weather's bad. We'll be able to handle any large party that might have been upstairs, put it downstairs in our flex space, and still run our restaurant. So we're not contingent on just the upstairs.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
What I'll do is, anybody else on the committee? Nobody on the committee? I'm going to open it up to the council. Councilman McMillan?
I just have one question. In looking at the diagram that you submitted, I did have a question as to the nature of the picture there. What exactly is that? I do know the area on the backside, and it just seemed kind of large there. Were you all taking apart some of the building and opening up that outside facility, or were you expanding? The patio, yes.
Yeah, the deck is just in addition to it, so we're not taking down any part of the building there.
So this is what's currently, that size is
Yes.
currently there?
Yep.
Okay. That's it.
Yep.
Anybody else on the council? Councilwoman Heffernan?
Where are you going to put is the kitchen going to be on the bottom floor? Is that where your kitchen's going to be?
Yep. Kitchen will be on the first floor.
It will be.
Yes.
I thought so. I was like, wow, that's very interesting. Because in New York, they have a lot of kitchens in the basement, where I've worked in a couple of restaurants. And I was always surprised when I found the kitchen in the basement. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It will be, but if you...
The parking lot side is perfect for where the kitchen's
Yeah,
going to go.
it's going to be a good kitchen.
Yep.
I think with the breeze coming off the water and what we're cooking, you guys are going to love it. So.
I know other council members had. Oh, go ahead.
Hi, thanks. I just have one more question, and we had talked about this before. Just want to validate where the handicap is. I know we have the elevator. Now that ramp goes around the back. Is there going to be access on both sides for the handicap? Is there a ramp, just the elevator, both?
Yes. So you're going to have the elevator access from the front parking lot side, and then from the boardwalk side, we're going to keep. We're actually going to make it more accessible than what it is today. Today, you go through. I'm not sure if it's a single or double doors off of the boardwalk, but there's going to be 2 sets of double doors. That's going to be handicap accessible.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
What's that, Councilwoman Tucker?
Hi. The question I have is about the music on the rooftop. Have you thought about barriers, sound barriers? Because it's great if the music is pointing towards the water, nobody will be bothered by that. But there is a condo complex across the street in the other direction. Just curious about whether or not you've considered, something that might be a little bit of a barrier so it's not disturbing those folks.
Yes. So with my project that I'm doing down the street, we had to work with a sound engineer because we have condos that are much closer to us. So the best barrier that we have is we have the water in front of us. So, we plan on, I spoke with these guys about, what our plan was and working with the city ordinance, and they plan on doing the same thing. But as far as a barrier goes, facing those speakers out to the water and having that face that way, that's going to be a barrier in itself. So we are aware of the condos behind us. That will be something that we definitely keep in mind and are considerate of. But we have natural barriers around us that should really help, shield the sound.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Fargo?
Thank you. Just quickly, going specifically to the lease, because the rental payments trigger once you all are done with construction and operation begins. Can you walk us through, assuming that we approve this today? I know that you're still having some negotiations with Corporation Counsel to firm up some of the last-minute details, but assuming that we approve this in substance today, can you walk us through the timeline for the next steps, your construction schedule, and when you anticipate opening?
Frank Lito, I'm the attorney for the group. So specifically, I'll leave it to the operations guys to tell you the real timeline, but I'll tell you what the timeline is in the lease. We have 120 days to get our municipal approvals following the execution of the lease, which we anticipate if the council votes favorably this evening, we should have that executed forthwith. So we have 120 days. As you might have heard Chris say before, the plans as far as being ready to submit to the Planning and Zoning Commission are 99% complete. We did that in advance. It was actually done against my legal advice because these guys want to move this forward as quickly as possible. My advice was to wait until this council approved it, but notwithstanding my advice, they want to move this project forward as quickly as possible. So those plans, they've invested significant time and money into getting those plans ready to go. So we don't anticipate taking that long. However, as this council's aware, there's a lot of red tape in municipal approvals. So based upon the timeline, we anticipate being before Planning and Zoning in January or early February, just because of the meeting schedule. After that, they will begin to complete the architectural drawings, which include significant mechanicals throughout the building. Unfortunately, some of the plans that we anticipated getting that would speed up that process, we weren't able to retrieve enough detail from to assist us, so we have to start basically de novo with mechanicals and architectural plans. So the lease provides 180 days for that. And again, speaking as the attorney, we wanted to give enough time to not disappoint this council with our deliveries, but we do anticipate that these are not to exceed dates in the lease. After that, once the plans are approved, we would submit those plans to the city for their review and approval. And assuming that works, that process moves swiftly, then we would apply for permits. We have some time to apply for the permits, but we, again, don't anticipate taking that much time. It does provide 180 days to apply for the permits because there are significant issues that we might run into with permits, such as we had discussed already. Just to give you an example, can we start early on demolition while we're going through this other part of the process? Typically, you would wait to obtain a demolition permit until you apply for your permits. But because the team is forward-thinking, they've already engaged in the thought process that we might be able to do some of the work with temporary permits while we're doing other parts of the work, which would expedite the process. And then after that, 12 to 15 months for construction is what's anticipated. The lease provides for 15 months. So I think if you ask me those questions, I'm going to tell you as the attorney what's in the lease. I think Chris probably disagrees with me that it's going to take that long, and we certainly want to open as quickly as possible. That's the goal, and that's going to be the internal timeline, but what the lease says is exactly how I described it.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Tucker?
One more question. Do you anticipating having one or two elevators?
One elevator.
And will there be a plan in place for if that elevator is out of commission? What would you, because sometimes it takes a while to get them fixed. We know there's not a lot of services that are readily available. I'm just curious.
Sure. Right now, there's planned for one elevator. There'll be stairs for emergency access, but we'll work with the building department on whatever the codes are for ADA and everything else. But right now, the plan is for one elevator.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Yes, Councilwoman Garthwaite.
So I don't really have, all my colleagues have asked a lot of great questions, and some of my questions were answered. My only last question that I can think of is, what kind of food are you going to serve?
Sure. So the menu that we're designing, we're still working on, but we're calling it American Coastal.
Okay.
So that will encompass, seafood, sandwiches, burgers, steaks, lots of different appetizers. our partner Yanni loves sushi, so you should expect to see some sushi on the menu as well. But you know, we like to buy from local vendors. A lot of the restaurants that we run now, we source local product, work with local vendors. So it'll be a seasonal menu. Can expect it to change probably 2 to 3 times a year, as well as running specials weekly. So we like to mix it up. We like to have a little bit of something for everyone. And our price point that we've discussed is to be affordable, not expensive. We don't want to exclude anyone based on price. So, you know, we want people to come with families, with friends, with children. So we'll have a kids menu available as well.
Great. Okay, I'm excited. I can't wait. I always say that, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I want to thank you all. We all appreciate you guys, and all of our residents are very much looking forward to sitting down for the first time and having a meal in your new restaurant. So, thank you.
All set, Councilwoman? One quick question. Yeah, one quick, I know it was brought up by one of the council. Your venue, wedding venue, like how many seating, give or take, roughly?
So depending on the overall occupancy, once we're done with the build, we're hoping to have in that range, you know, maximum range around 250 to 300. And that seems to be the magic number because there's not too many spaces in Connecticut that can accommodate a party that large.
Yeah.
A lot of weddings end up going to New York or elsewhere or outside. So with that flex space on the first floor, I believe the goal is to get about 250.
Thank you. Councilwoman Callahan?
Thank you, that's great, 250, that's awesome. Maybe we ought to invest in another ferry going to Port Jeff, because all those people are going to be coming on over. I had a question, as far as employment goes, you're going to reach out to how's that going to work? I mean, obviously you're West Haven bound, and is it just going to be, is it start with the city, open it up? I mean, what's your plan?
So what we'd like to do is have a job fair and keep it local. You know, we can advertise that in town. Also speak to the high school, the local colleges. And then we actually have some interns that work with us as well from different culinary programs in Connecticut. So the goal is to get as many people from the local community. We anticipate anywhere from, I think on a low end, John, about 100 to maybe 125 employees.
That's what I was going to ask, how many employees?
Yeah. A lot full-time, some part-time, college kids in the summer. And
that's including the kitchen as well?
Yeah, kitchen will be the bulk.
Right.
It's going to be a big kitchen to operate, especially if we're going to serve that many people.
Absolutely.
But as far as having good service, the more people that we can employ, the better that we'll do and the better experience you'll have. So in the beginning especially, we'll overstaff until we kind of find that sweet spot to make sure that everybody's getting the service that we want them to have.
So that's fantastic. So that opens up another 100, 125 jobs for the community going forward as well. So that's great news. Thank you.
Mr. McMillan?
Good evening. I was just wondering, what are your hours going to be?
Hours? So typically, right now, just as, the other locations that we have. So we're open for lunch 7 days a week, brunch on the weekends. So on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, I would say we'll open at 11 a.m. For brunch and lunch. During the week, probably 11:30 for lunch. And kitchen typically is open till 10 p.m. Yeah, maybe a little later, maybe 10:30 on the weekends. Kitchen would close at, let's say, Friday or Saturday, 10 or 10:30. And then Connecticut, last call is 1:30 a.m. on Friday and Saturday, and everyone out by 2 a.m. But we're not looking to be that late night. Last stop, nothing good happens after midnight. So
That'll be Chris's other issue and the other. Actually, won't be his issue. Sorry. You all set? Mayor?
So thanks again. When I opened up before, I wanted to make sure I welcomed you, but I just want to remind those who are listening, I know you've all read the lease in details, and obviously you're all familiar with it, but for those who might be listening for the first time, there was a lot of key components in this lease that we wanted to make sure we addressed that were an issue for residents for the last project. And I just want to remind those who are listening about some of those. The last lease was for 99 years, and then it was brought down to 60. This lease is 20 years, right? So with increments that built in, we wanted to make sure we didn't tie our hands for the rest of our lives. No subleasing unless we have approval, and it has to be for the same type of business. So even if for some reason it was going to be sublet, we cannot approve that without going back to the public, and it has to be for the same purpose. Otherwise, we go back out to bid. So that was important as well. No exclusive use of the public access. So to answer your question, if there's a wedding by the gazebo, folks can stand on the boardwalk and watch, right? We've had many weddings there in the gazebo and on the grass, and at that time, those getting married at the conference center used to put the chairs out on the grass, and people would stand around and watch. Everybody loves to watch a wedding. So there's no exclusivity to that area or the boardwalk in front of the business. We address advertisement and signs. We want to make, not that you would have any tacky signs, but we had to make sure we put that in the lease, that we worked on that. And then to the question about how many months does it take to move the project along, something that was very important to protect the city that we added to this lease was that if there's not substantial work for a period of time, then we take the building back. So we've been burnt before in West Haven, right, where we lease something or we're, working on something and, everything's going great and something happens. And then it kind of all goes to a stop and then we're stuck. So the two attorneys on our side and both for the group side worked really well together to come up with a lot of good compromises, and that protects our interests. I want to also remind everybody that we're carrying the cost for this building. Every day that it sits there, we're paying for it. Every time we got to send a roofer up there. This is a building that's filled, that the doors were closed several years ago. It's rained inside, it's ruined, and we're carrying the cost for that. Plus, it's a hazard, right? People still use those stairs. People still go on that, buy that property. So this takes those carrying costs off for us. And I'm glad you talked about the jobs, because while we talk about how this is going to drive the economy, right? This business is going to bring people to West Haven. We're going to have the opportunity to showcase West Haven in other ways, because you're going to have to drive through the city in order to get to this building. Nothing drives an economy like jobs. And to have 120 jobs, and many of those are going to be West Haven families, is going to uplift our community. A lot of people that are looking for jobs. I know we'll have the opportunity. And when we were interviewing the bidders, that was an amazing selling point. When I asked, we had a panel, as we talked about, that interviewed those that were bidding on this building. Didn't get really great answers from the others that we interviewed. When I asked them, what are you going to do about jobs? I didn't say local. I wanted to hear them say local. And they said, that's what we do. We have experience doing this. We have local job fairs, and we like to train and make sure folks from the local community are involved. And also their investment in nonprofit and youth programs. They have a history of investing in the communities where they do business, in sports organizations, art organizations, after-school programs. And I looked at all of that history that you have engaged in. They really believe in investing in the community. So I just want to remind folks, this is not just about upgrading a building, and it's going to be beautiful, but it's going to do a lot more than that for our community. So I just want to thank you for that, and I really want to thank the two attorneys again for working day and night on this, and really being very open to going back and forth in the things that were important to our citizens. So thank you for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. In closing, before I bring it to a vote, just a statement. Again, I want to reiterate what the mayor said. I do thank you for coming and choosing West Haven. We've been dying for something like this to come there, and I definitely look forward to the ribbon cutting and being there every other weekend at least, at minimum. So that I can guarantee you. I'll be there. I'll bring my wife every now and then too. So. But with that, any question or? Go ahead. Yeah.
This was just something that came out from the public, and actually we had talked about too, that I think we were all kind of wondering. I love the palm trees. I'm all about palm trees and beaches. But I noticed a couple people were mentioning about it's not really part of our environment up here. Is that set in stone, or maybe we can talk about willow trees or cherry blossom trees, or?
It's not set in stone, so we had a couple days to put this design together, and
I like the palm
I put the design together. I love palm trees, but no, it's not set in stone. So we can, our landscape architect loves all the native plants, and we'll definitely take a look at everything. So no, it's not set in stone.
I'll vote for the palm trees. It was just something that came up in conversation, so maybe we can have a palm tree and two other, I don't know, whatever, but thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I think one more question. The mayor spoke a lot about what a great community partner that you are to the other communities and what we think that you're going to be here. We appreciate that. In that vein, because that parking lot has been owned by the city, it is used for quite a few community events. And I know what the lease says, and I've spoken with our corporation counsel about it, but I'd like to hear from you of how we're going to be able to make that work specifically for the Savin Rock Festival, for the fireworks, and I think that there are a few other smaller private organizations that have used that parking lot with the city permission over the years. So just like to get an understanding of how you think that you operating will be impacting those activities.
Thank you for the question, Councilman Vargo, because I was going to mention that after Mayor Boer's great recitation of all the wonderful terms in the lease. I didn't want to offer it up because the attorneys for the city did a wonderful job. It was a pleasure working with your council as a fellow town attorney. Sometimes that doesn't always happen, so I think we were able to mesh well, understanding what likely the city's objectives were. But as you indicated, the lease does provide for 6 annual community events where essentially the city will have the non-exclusive use of the parking lot, but essentially pretty much the exclusive use of the parking lot, all of the parking lot for those events. There's some enumerated events: Independence Day fireworks, Savin Rock Festival, the Heart Walk, the Alzheimer Walk, Dominate the Day events as examples. It doesn't mean that those are the exclusive events. And this was heavily discussed. And the anticipation is that there'll be some type of shuttle service where other city-owned parking opportunities, I want to say, we discussed the high school in West Haven, of course, if it's available, but other alternative locations where there would be some type of shuttle service available. I think this was a significant investment in the community by our group. To have a restaurant of this magnitude, to talk about how great it's going to be, how many seats we have, all the opportunities, and then to basically shut the restaurant down for 6 days, which they don't intend to shut down for those 6 days, but it's going to be difficult to operate. Certainly we can't have a wedding when we're hosting one of these events. You certainly can't have a large event when you're hosting one of these events. So I thought that was a significant give back by the group. Certainly was part of their community involvement. So I think it's going to work quite well. Certainly there'll be some hiccups early on. We do anticipate, the first couple of runs will be certainly a challenge, but I do think the proximity of the other parking areas, the city's cooperation, the city's commitment to the restaurant group, the restaurant group's commitment to the city, it should work seamlessly. It should allow them to stay open for business, and certainly I would imagine a lot of the individuals that might be parking in the parking lot might want to come by and have a bite to eat or something, so they're not that naive as to the plan. But we think it's going to work well. But I think that was another really well-negotiated provision of the lease. And while we're talking about, the lease also provides there'll be no outdoor music past 10 p.m., so it's clearly in the lease just to alleviate everybody's concerns. But and as far as the transfer, did I answer your question?
You did, thank you.
Okay. And as far as the transfer, just to because we're always talking about finances, if there was a transfer, the lease does protect the city that there's the city basically shares in any profits that could be obtained by the tenant should there be an approved transfer. So the city's financially protected as well, which I thought was a really good job by council to make sure that the city was protected. So it's a great lease, I think, for both parties. And I do want to reiterate, I do know these parties, and I will mention, not as their attorney, but as someone who's familiar with them, their investment in the community is really paramount to their business success. I think it goes hand in hand with all of us who want to invest our hard-earned dollars in certain restaurants. And I know I feel this way when I go to a restaurant. I want to support those that support the community. And so this group, collectively, I think you should be very excited for them. They invest a lot. There's been a lot of talk about supporting the veterans here because we know it's important. They know it's important to the community. There's a strong history of supporting public service, public safety, especially public safety. There's ongoing events with public safety as far as charity groups or the charities and events are concerned. And then just the general public, youth sports, Mayor mentioned a lot of the community events that they undertake. That's very, very strong foundational component of their success, and they're certainly going to continue it here with probably more opportunity because of the size of the space and the opportunity. So, I think it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to really invest in the community. And the local hiring is also in the lease as well, so it was something they agreed to, and certainly the mayor's correct, they did offer that and wanted to move forward with job fairs and the like, but it's also in the lease.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, all right, with that being said, on the committee. Oh, sure, go right ahead.
I just want to add one little thing to Councilman Vargo's question regarding the parking lot at the high school, because I want to make sure there's no misunderstanding in the community. We had conversations with Neil, the superintendent, to make sure that we are working in partnership to use the high school parking lot when we need to. So I just want to make sure folks don't think we're just assuming we could use that parking lot. We'll work it out as long as there's not school events happening on that day. We'll figure something else out if there is. That's all.
Thank you. Again, anybody on the committee voting on this, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion in the committee passes. The Committee on Public Lands is now closed at 7:59, Chairman.
Thank you very much. We will now convene back to council as a whole at 7:59. Moving on to unfinished business. Do we have any progress on the Lake Street projects?
It's the same.
Same.
It'll be the same for
Okay.
6 months.
Okay, which brings us to committee reports. Will the clerk please read Communication A, overpayment refunds, into the record?
Communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for November 2024 will be filed with tonight's minutes.
Thank you. And that brings us to Councilman Donovan's committee reports.
Okay, long time no here. The Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, the Committee on Public Lands, to whom was referred the matter of a resolution regarding the lease agreement with RTR Hospitality Group LLC for the city-owned real property known as 6 Rock Street, West Haven, Connecticut, reports that the committee met on the 9th day of December 2024 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved that the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves and authorizes the City of West Haven to enter into a lease agreement with the RTR Hospitality Group LLC for the city-owned real property known as 6 Rock Street, West Haven, Connecticut, which lease agreement shall be in substantial and material compliance with the draft lease agreement attached hereto as Exhibit A and made a part hereof by a reference, and further resolved, Dorinda K. Borer, as mayor of the City of West Haven, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents related to this resolution on behalf of the City of West Haven, and to do and perform all acts and things which she deems to be necessary to appropriate, to carry out and the terms of such documents, including but not limited to executing and delivering all agreements and documents contemplated by such documents, and further resolved that such approval and authorization conferred hereby is contingent upon approval by the Municipal Accountability Review Board, also known as MARB. All set.
All set. I have a motion to approve a matter regarding a request to approve a lease with RTR Hospitality Group LLC
Motion.
for the Sound Rock Conference Center. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A few different seconds. Let me start off discussion. I'm going to be voting yes on this. I think it's a great project. I think West Haven is invested in your success. I think West Haven is excited for your success. And I really just hope you guys keep on being great community partners. And next time we have a presentation, you need to bring samples. Any other discussion?
I would like a roll call.
You'd like a roll call vote. Any other discussion before? All right, we're all talked out. Perfect. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
You got it. Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite,
Yes.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Ruby Melton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali,
Yes.
Wow.
Councilman Gary Donovan,
Yes.
Councilman Edward McMillan,
A definitive yes.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan,
Absolutely, yes.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker,
Yes.
Councilman Christopher Vargo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Katie Muller,
Yes.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone,
Yes.
and Chairman Nicholas Pascal.
Most definitely. Is that unanimous?
It's a total unanimous vote.
That is a unanimous vote. Motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, moving on to council liaison reports. Does anybody have anything to report? Councilwoman Callahan.
Hi, thank you. I'd like to report that the tree lighting went very well. It was very cold, but a lot of people came out, a lot of kids. It was so well done. There was different parts of the green, and every part had something different to offer. I got a lot of reports from other city folks that have gone to their tree lightings, and they said ours was the best. So just want to say thank you to the mayor and Public Works. They did a phenomenal job, and the gals, I forget their names, it has escaped me, but they did a great job bringing it together on the green, and the can drive, it was a great night. So well done, all the performers, well done. Thank you.
Any other liaison reports? Councilman Garthwaite?
Yeah, thank you. I want to remind everybody that December 21st, 9 to 12 is the SWORD at West Haven Animal Shelter. I want to remind everyone that we have on December 21st from 8 to 11, we have Santa Claus collecting pet food for the West Haven Animal Shelter at Sandy Point Bird Sanctuary. I also want to thank the mayor for an amazing Adopt a Pet, and thank Sergeant Zadru, all the animal control officers, all the West Haven Police Department. Well done, Mayor. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other liaison reports? Councilwoman Heffernan?
The library is still in process of trying to acquire the building, and I think they're trying to move forward, so negotiations are ongoing.
Good to hear. Okay. Any other liaison reports? Go ahead.
I don't think we get back together, so I just want to wish everybody a happy holiday, and be safe, enjoy your families, enjoy our lovely town, and God bless.
Thank you. Any new business this evening? Anybody else? Councilman Johnstone.
Thank you, Chairman. Mayor, just throwing it out there, because I forgot to ask the last meeting. Do we have an update on McCrill? Or any other ongoing project? Havens, McCrill, any? I'm sorry, oh my gosh, not McCrill. This just goes, no, not Washington. Stiles, thank you. I'm on baby brain here. Stiles, thank you, not McCrill.
You scared me too. What didn't I do?
What happened to McCrill?
McCrill's fine. Stiles. Yes, Steve Fontana just left. So as you may recall, we went out to bid the first time. We didn't really get conducive bidders. Went out to bid the second time. We had 3 bidders. We interviewed them. We selected one. And they needed to look at the structural integrity of the building to see if they could add a floor, because this bidder wanted to keep the building, the existing historical building, and add another floor to make it modern. So they wanted to see. So they did some drilling. We let them in. They have the architectural plans. They're making a decision if that, is going to work for them, which all indications are that it will. And then we will move forward with more information, and then we could talk about the sale. And then, what else did you ask? Oh, the Havens. Oh, yeah. So I would say, we've probably met with 15, 16 developers at this point. We weed them out. We like to call them pretenders and contenders, right? So everybody thinks it's a good idea, and then they don't have the funds, or somebody has the funds, but it's really not a concept that is going to fit. So we continue to work it all the time. I talk to the Simon Group every 2 weeks. We talk on the weekend. We continually talk about who reached out to them, who's reached out to me, who we reached out to. I actually had a really successful meeting with a developer that's done some beautiful things in this region and connected. One has the money, one has the concept and has the experience developing, so brought the two together. They actually have met independently, and now we're all regrouping next week. We'll see where that goes. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. You know, I think the environmental is finally, I don't want to say okay, there's environmental issues, but they're workable. Our lawsuit was done, so yeah, so we continue to, work on that all the time. Yeah, was that it? Was that the only other?
Much appreciated, thank you.
Okay.
What are your thoughts of what you'd like to see there?
Well, I think,
Sorry.
I think any developer who I've spoken with, some want to do only residential, and that won't work for us. Some want to do mixed use. I think mixed use is what's going to end up there. More high-end level if there's housing there, and some commercial. This group that we talked to recently had an interest in a hotel, but I don't know, there's, it's complicated, but there's a velocity zone there, so there's a velocity zone that cuts in. You can't build on a velocity zone, so you have to configure whatever you put there that fits into the floodplain and the velocity zone and the environmental. So it's not as if there's 26 acres and we could build on the 26 acres. You have to build here and here and here on the 26 acres. So, that plays into what would go there. But I weed people out who might recommend something that I know that the community would not embrace.
Right. Is there room for boat slips there?
So
Is that-
remember, it was a shipyard years ago. We had to rebuild the bulkhead there. They're going to be dredging the sound. We'd love to see some boat activity, but I think there's a few more things that need to be cleaned up in order to have that happen.
Great, thanks.
Did you say they are going to be dredging the sound?
They'll be dredging the sound in 2027.
Interesting.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
All set? Councilman My McMillan?
Sanford.
The
She's
like, Sanford!
What did you say?
No, she said, she's like, Sanford.
Yes, so the study's underway. Studies, like whether it's Lake or Sanford or the Cove River, which we've just begun, thank God, they take a long time. We have to go out to bid for a consultant. We have to go out to a bid. You have to do public meetings. It's just, they take over a year to do. You're not going to have an answer overnight for Sanford or Cove River. Yeah.
Councilwoman Tucker, did you?
Yeah, I just wanted to share that the opioid settlement advisory committee did meet on November 19th, and there was a robust discussion, multiple presentations, presentation on housing, the impact of homelessness on housing, opioid use, safe spot, overdose hotline presentation was given, and at the end of the next council meeting, I'll be prepared to give details. Okay, and then I believe there's another meeting scheduled for this month, so I'll give more details at the next meeting.
Thank you. Councilman Vargo?
Mayor, one question I've been asked, because it's been cold recently, is
Yeah.
I know that you were able to open up a warming center overnight, I think over the weekend. Are we working on a longer-term plan?
Yes. So as you recall, we put aside ARPA funding that we dedicated towards housing for housing crisis. And so we are using that fund. We did an MOU to the health department for those funds. We opened Noble Street just for this weekend and next weekend because we're signing a lease with a property on Campbell Avenue, closer to Duchess Diner, that it will be a lease. we had to work out something with the security company. We had to work out who will man it. But we'll be using the ARPA funds for that. That will be our warming center going forward. We did put an RFP out there to ask churches if they were willing to provide, the shelter, the warming center. Some could, some couldn't. We did have one that bid. We were going forward, and then the fire department came in and said you can't do it there. So there's a lot of, obviously regulations if you're going to do a warming center that you have to abide by. So we switched gears. And I think the new warming center will be open, I'd say 2 weeks.
Great. And last comment I just want to make is I just wanted to thank you. We've had a couple of higher profile events happen in the last couple of weeks, and your transparency with the public, but also with this council, answering our questions and then proactively giving us information, which allows us to answer questions and alleviate some concerns in some of the rumor mill. It's refreshing, and I just wanted to thank you for that.
No, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I just want to piggyback on that by saying that, we did have a high-profile thing that did happen, and just like Chris said, it's not like we're ignoring the fact that that happened. We were fully informed about it before it happened, and we, like Chris was saying, we enjoy the transparency, and now I don't have anything to say, Chris. Thank you. Anybody else have any other new business?
I have new business.
Ms. Mayor?
When everybody's done.
I think
Okay,
we're good,
all right,
yeah.
Okay. So yes, we had a situation. Do you like delivering not so pleasant news to the public? Of course not. But I made a commitment, as well as you've all made a commitment, that we are going to communicate what happens in this city, whether it's good or it's not. This is the people's business, right? It's their tax dollars. It's not mine. It's not, the employees. They have a right to know what happens. So if there's going to be something that happens, people need to hear it from me. So that's what I think a leader does. It's a pleasant situation. This employee has been arrested. There will be a court date. She will be held accountable, and I will work to get those funds back. I am glad that we have internal controls that were put in place that triggered this. I would say without those bank fraud alerts, this could have been disastrous. But we were alerted. It all kind of came together at, around the same day. I addressed it head on, dismissed the employee, brought in the legal team, and then brought it over to the police department myself. So, unfortunately, that's the situation. Are you nervous that sometimes these things are happening? Of course you are, but you could take some comfort in knowing that it'll be caught, right? So this did not go on. Remember our last situation went on for a year undetected. This was a couple of weeks. She did get reimbursed though. It was elaborate falsified documentation. There's a little more to that other than what was done with our city. But all I can answer for is what was done at our city. So anyway, that's that. Let's talk about the good news. Speaking of thefts, we're getting our $1 million back, which I think is really, and I wanted to share that at the last council meeting, but I was waiting and I had gotten it the next morning. So what we did was recreate. It all hinged on the date of discovery, right? There was not a good story that was told to the insurance company. It was inconsistent. It was disorganized all over the place. And I pulled from different sources that backed up the date of discovery. So that was really a great relief. That was exciting. What else I said? Oh, Harding Avenue, that has come up on the council meeting several times. We even had people who come forward. Harding Avenue and Roosevelt, I'm happy to report that is finally a project that we have completed. Just as a reminder, and I know this is something that Brian asked about a lot, and so we'll convey to him. This is a project where it was significant wet ground, and because we had unusual rain, we could not take those trees down until it dried out, and then it hardened up, and we were able to dig trenches. I gave pictures to Katie. I'll pass it around if you want, because everybody likes to look at trenches at 8:20 on a Monday night. But it's fixed. It costs us $70,000. That's the other thing, when, residents come forward, we have to really cost it out, and, but we were able to fix this one. So that's finally done. The tree lighting, yes, I want to thank West Haven United. They're the volunteer group that really works hard to put the tree lighting on. I forgot to light the tree at the tree lighting. I was worried about everything from cheerleaders to the sound working to to Santa coming down the street, and I said, "Oh, great, Santa's going over to a Santa house," and then somebody whispered to me, "You forgot to light the tree during that." So, thank you, Dawn, for being by my side for that. But there was also tree lighting on Allingtown, and I want to thank Carrie, and I want to thank the volunteers of the fire department, because that was beautiful. That was this weekend, and yes, our pet event. I was looking so forward to that, and the ACOs and Sergeant Drew and Captain Romano really put their hearts and soul in it. They're all animal lovers and pet owners themselves. 19 dogs and cats were adopted. Even Nova, who was in the shelter for a whole year and kept getting passed over, went home with a family, and we got lots of pictures of Nova and the others. So the good thing is, I guess it was a good thing, there was more families than there were pets to adopt, so we got a lot of applications. So as dogs are rescued, we'll be able to give them to them. So that's that. Thank you to everybody who came to the Pearl Harbor event. Building on the opioid, we've been doing Narcan. Ricky Fontana's been doing Narcan training across the city, and has been giving out Narcan to public places. I also want to mention, I don't know if you saw about the charging stations that we ordered. Those are really cool. It's a solar table, and we have 50 phone chargers on each table. We ordered 2 tables. This is only a couple $1,000s. This is not a $50,000 project. So if the electricity goes out in a neighborhood and we know it's not going to come back on for any specific reason, UI can't get it up and running, we can go to this neighborhood and 100 people can charge their phones in 30 minutes, plus there's 10 plugs. So if you have a device that you need to charge that's not a phone. So I love those projects. I think they're really cool. What else I got to tell you, because I know you want to go. Let's see. That's it. That's all I got.
Thought you were on a roll.
I was on
Thought you were
a
going to keep going. Councilman Vargo. One thing I forgot, on behalf of the residents of District 8, and specifically my son Mikey, thank you for the Barney Hill tree.
Aw. It's the giving tree.
Any other new business? Sure. You can, I don't know if she'll answer. All right.
I know inquiring minds are going to want to know, but I'm going to be the bad guy and ask, where does the $1 million go back to?
Oh, good question. No, that's a good question. We had our legal team. That was funds that were came to us before the ARPA funds. So they're COVID, but before ARPA, I was a little nervous we were going to have to obligate them by 12/31, and we don't even have them yet.
Yeah.
But the legal opinion is that they are COVID, not ARPA, so we don't have to obligate them by 12/31, and it's going to go back probably to the general fund.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Anything else? Councilwoman Melton?
Just to build, first of all, I haven't spoken very much as a new councilwoman, but a lot of y'all have asked a lot of the questions that I had, that we talked about, and I really do appreciate all of the hard work that everyone has been doing. Mayor, you're awesome. I'm very honored to serve on this council. I really am. Today I had my first call from a constituent, and she asked the same question, what was going to happen to that $1 million. First I had to explain to her how all of the hard work that you did to get it for us, and then she made a suggestion that we use it to reduce our taxes, which, ostensibly that might be, the result of it, but that is on people's minds, the assessment. And one of the things that I noticed when I encouraged her to go to the website, and there's a lot of wonderful information there. I think one of the things that folks are a little bit confused about, and I wonder if there's a way to get the word out, is how the process is really a mystery. In other words, you get the assessment, you create this, what is it, the grand list, and then what happens next? You go through the budget, you establish a mill rate. I think there's a piece of information perhaps missing that could educate the public a bit more about what that process really is for them to understand. I encourage her to go to the assessor's website to look at how the assessment was actually done by the company. But I think people are a little confused, as you know, about the mill rate and, using the current mill rate, and how does the next mill rate get established. And so I'm just throwing it out there that maybe a little bit more information about how that process really will work, and for the public would be a really great thing to
Yeah,
to put out there.
I agree. Communication is key.
Yeah.
We've tried to put it out there as much as we can, but it's complicated, and it's shocking to people who aren't, following it. They're living their daily lives. We actually talked today about sending another communication out, mailing a communication out, which is very simple bullets to the best that we can that helps to alleviate. I mean, that's obviously a cost. So we were talking about maybe doing it with the tax bills, but that's a little painful too. But that we're mailing out supplemental tax bills for January anyway, so we're seeing if the company will allow us to put something in that. But you're right, the more we could communicate it, the better.
Or explain how it's done.
Yeah.
How do you get to that mill rate? I think that's the next question that people are asking. And how, they understand you're doing a budget. They understand that there's going to be a mill rate, but how do you bring those two things together?
Yeah,
That's really,
in simple terms. Yeah.
thank you.
I think it's fair to say that we're all committed to making sure that the mill rate is lowered and we're not having a party with the extra funds, But you're absolutely right, communication is key on that. Any other new business? I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? I don't think so. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody.